said by Mr. Abert Oikelome. Did you just write this in the past?
All right.
We can have again this symposium, as some of us may already know, is being coordinated by Associate Professor Dr. Abert Oikelome. Okay, he's not quite So it's a project in partnership with University of Edinburgh. So it is the person carrying out the project. So should we take the university anthem? Can we please still write for our
music and dance as tools for sustainable development amongst young people in the youth. And I want to especially thank some people that are right here in our midst who have decided to come to be a part of this noble discourse. First of all, I want to start with my wonderful auntie here. She is the chairperson of the Coalition of Gender and Constitutional Reform Foundation, and she's here in her capacity, both as a friend and lover of our work here, and also as a member, as the chairman of the foundation which she represents. I am talking about, this is already here on my I would also want to specifically who has been very, very instrumental to so many artistic performances through dance, music, drama, and all. And by the grace of God, he also passed out from here. And we're so proud to have him as a guest in this place, and also as someone who passed out from this place. And I'm talking about Joshua and Mona. With him is another alumni of the Department of Creative Arts, who is also a great, how do I call it? If there's anything in that light. And also, one that is so passionate about children in the slums. Is doing a great work with the Kings and Queens Academy in Bariga. And they are actually using the dance as a great tool in reforming children in the slums. Okota Charles, thanks for coming. I want to recognize, sorry, I'm posting home because I want to start with the people from the outside first before coming to my colleagues in the inside. I want to specially recognize also an alumnus of this school. He has been able to use the guitar as a transformational agent among young people. Started about 15 years ago with the help and assistance of the General Overseer of Mountain of Fire Ministry, Pastor DK, who is also very passionate about music. We approached him one time and said, I can do this. And the General Overseer said, go ahead and do it. And within 15 years, he's been able to pull a group of people, young people, from several areas in Lagos State with the guitar, and they've been able to use that to actually create wonderful strides among young people. I'm talking about Dr. Joseph Oluwatade, who in this place. Now I'm posting home, and I want to talk about my friend, brother, and I will say, if I call him this now, I don't know if he would fight me, but he's an individual but he's such an amiable person, someone you really love to walk around with, and he has been able to use dance. He's a dance expert, and I must say that the people I have mentioned passed through him. If you pass through Felix Emoro and you don't know how to dance, just go and cut your leg and then throw it at the car market. But I doubt if you'll ever know how to dance. Because one thing about him is that by the time you start, one session is enough and you are in it. And incidentally, he will also be presenting a paper on dance as to. I'm talking about Dr. Felix Emoro, a senior lecturer. Very glad for you that you are here. And I want to also welcome my special sister from another mother. And one that I have known way back since Mongo Park we discovered River Niger. Someone that knows me in toto in the sense of the word. And we were talking about starting from way back 30 years ago. Yeah, 30 years ago. And by the special grace of God, fate had made it that we come back again together to colleagues in the Department of Creative Arts Music Unit. She's a music therapist, a psychologist, a music, what again do we call it? But I know that she is really going places by her works that is now seen in international media. Flo, I call her. You call her Florence Wiki, I call her Flo. She is flowing all over the world. I'm talking about none other than Florence, the doctor. Thanks for coming. We are very, very happy to have you around. I will also want to talk about Grace, Dr. Grace. Dr. Grace. If I talk about Dr. Grace, they say you actually have no, but let me just reserve or commend my reserve. But I want to say that we are so fortunate and glad to have very seasoned researchers in our midst, or also at the music department. Grace finished, did a PhD in South Africa, and we can see a lot of giant strides that are really being portrayed by her right now. I want to say big thank you for coming, and thanks for obliging to act on this program. And then I want to talk about my friend, brother from another mother, who is also a lecturer in the Department of Music, Mountain Top University. We want to talk about a choral person to the core. He's really using choral music as a transformational agent among young people. And we can see that being a mission in Mountain Top University. Last time I was in Mountain Top University, I was so shocked how he transformed that choir from just nothing to something that we're really proud of. I'm talking of none other than Dr. Michael Osanibi. So we have a few here. We're here to really juggle our minds. A lot of other people are coming. As they come, we will recognize them. And I want to also recognize our master students who are here. Please, if you are master students, can you just they have been instrumental to a lot of the success that we are going to portray amongst us, the research that we did. Because going to the field, we had to go to the field to gather information. Once again, I want to say big thank you. My undergraduate students, my people, my children, where are you? Thank you for coming. Like I said, it's a symposium. It's an opportunity for us to grow minds. Where do we go? How do we use music as sustainable tools? We believe it's possible because a lot of people have done it in other times. People are doing it here by proxy, and we can also, put all the structures together to make it work. Thank you once again for coming, and do have a wonderful
Thank you very much, sir. I hope I'm cool talking from here. So, I'm gonna begin with the guest speakers, and I'm sure you're mind ready to listen to the lectures. And then each speaker has 15 minutes. Dr. Emorua, you are to start. So, let's put our hands together for.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Because of 15 minutes, let me comment on these established greetings that have been established here. Specifically dance. The topic is before us already, but specifically I have looked at the concept of using dance as a tool for development, because maybe I should start by saying that dance normally means different things to different people. By way of definition, we are always apt to recall that among all the varied definitions that exist, we always uphold one particular person who is called John Martins, a scholar. His definition says that dance is the aesthetic movement, at times some textbooks will tell you some dynamic movement of the human body into movement and dance. Aesthetic movement of the human body into space and time, essentially to communicate an idea, a feeling, a story, all that. Now that brings to mind the first objective that the body, the human body is capable of expressing, of doing a whole lot of things. But the second caveat there is that if this thing is not tailored towards communication, towards expressing something, that means it's not dance. It can equally be sports, but not dance. Therefore, Lagos State is a cosmopolitan place filled with different sets of people from different backgrounds. As we have the slums, we equally have those police, and all of these places, some with rational effect, some with very condensed way of living. These are different cultures. And there are different cultures that emanated out of them all. Everybody was looking and is still looking for survival, means of identity and survival, adaptation to the different environments that we have. So it is not out of place to say that dance, music, and sports have numbered among those things that, especially youth that have always been very restless, will engage themselves in by way of expressing themselves, by way of talking. They can't be the one telling us the government is bad, the government, so let the press do that. The playwrights are trying to write that we don't like what we are having. It used to be 8 naira to buy so and so before, today it is 32 naira. Let those playwrights write. Actors and actresses, playwrights who want to act it out, and then you look at it, this poor singers, musicians will sing about it, and then you will hear again and say, these people are happy to document. But the volatile people, the young ones, artists, they are restless. This affects them as much as it affects our fathers and mothers. So the best they could do is, if they can't even eat, at least the best way to go about it is look at their peers and go to the field and play football. Another way of doing it is just listen to music and forget about that. They are eating in the morning, they don't know how to eat in the afternoon, how they don't eat in the afternoon, and perhaps in the night they are not sure. So the consciousness of music comes in, and then the dance. Now, because of my time, let me put this way, that every slum, especially I have taken my time to look at, I appreciate what is happening at Bariga presently, because that's one area for now that's making way, especially in the area of dance. Maybe the youth, it's a slum, of course. And then these are places where, like Agedule, like Ijora, like Ushi, are places that we always want to derogatorily term as slums. And because they are slums, so that means the government has not really provided for how the place is going to be developed. No blueprints, the way we have them in Atikoya. No. So what we have a situation where we have individual children, people reacting, looking at this way of living. Some are culturally oriented, some are not. I remember I gave Achapo. There's a place called Achapo, for instance. It's a slum, like what we have at Bariga here, in front of the little theater that they have here. This is that, when you're coming to Lagos, that is Ojota, there's this big heap there. There's a big heap that will greet you with a particular wonderful smell. And that's when we tell you welcome to Lagos. Yes, that was where it's called Achapo at Ajegule. And so what we have are scavengers, children, scavengers. What they do is go into this garbage slump and then they try and pick whatever it is that they can pull down. And within that kind of contest, they want to survive. They want to carry all the aluminium and go and sell, carry all anything that they can scavenge. And so, most artists came from that same environment. Okay. Remember your daddy Shepi? Daddy Fresh? Good. So we probably have the likes of Larry Williams talking about Ola Ijigo, who was one of the very strong people that, and Kobana. In music, we have somebody that was called Kobana who actually discovered a whole lot of talents at Edinburgh. He at then, I'm talking in terms of 80, 81, 82. Kobana, he has a DJ shop at Wilma, and then he lives. Now, this is a coincidence. Kobana himself lived at number 7 Olowo JJ Street, as well as Lali. Lali was in charge of, was dealing with dance, and Kobana that was where they took the side. Now, this is where I was engaged with Lali, so I saw all that happen. Now, Kobana was introducing children and out of job youths to music, first as DJs, and secondly with different kinds of sponsorship and their record labelings. That's where we have the likes of the other kinds of artists that came up. And what these people do is simple. They always meet from time to time to review the kind of life that they're living. So you always see the Soko people put their kind of music into it and drumming by the youths. And then under the atmosphere of Ogogoro and all of those ones, they have to make themselves happy. We might have people who were very creative. And this battle shows in the way, that communal way of living. You will still see these people exhibit those ones, even in their, the videos that they created the music that they produce. You always see it as a community thing, because the music has always been played among them. They are all used to it. The old and the young are already dancing to it. So it is already a way of living. What we're talking about, recording it. And because it has this community flavor, normally it will sell. Because it has culture that we got out of just merely listening to that kind of music. And so it has become a way. In music, motion, for instance, we have the akala, the different kinds of music that came up, because from time to time also they have this jump that they want to do from street to street. So always have a way of bringing people together and showcase that I can do something. It's not about stealing again. It's not about the fact that I cannot use what I have. I have the language, I know what's happening in my neighborhood, and I can put that musically, I can say that, I can render it. So music therefore, dance therefore, and sport therefore becomes the way, a hiding place for these youths. For dance. Dance has about 3 or 4 kinds of dynamics. First is the individual. Thank you. First, as an individual thing, the battle shows that is being exhibited by different people who come from different backgrounds. You as an Isoko person, I as an Ijo person, you as an Igbo, we are all living in the same house, the same community, the same slum. So I see you from time to time, and then when we play any music is being like I put it to you, that they always want to share their experiences, and people do. So what's the stuff that we bring together when you do your gyration? We call it gyration then, and then you will teach us what we have, I will teach him what we have, and so what we have is called a culture blend. And with this culture blend, it was easy for us to evolve a way of talking different from what other people are used to. It's our own experience. So it comes as a wacky language of the articulates, you know. We say, it's a way of saying that we fraternize ourselves. So individually, skills comes out and people are recognized for it. And people that are recognized for these little skills, individual skills, they are being invited from time to time to clubs, come and dance, and then when we have artists, some new hosts of those days. Now, equally we have consciousness that came up as, I want to see it as a business. And so we have troops come up. These troops were many, and they all specialize in different areas. We have, that's why Edinburgh will always be known for anti-local troops, for one. Then other troops, other areas of needs. Some will look at the children, anything, some will tell you anything 8 years old, 5 years old, I want to look at them to 12 to 15. So people look at special areas to tap into and say, with this area, I want to tell them that they can do something with their lives. And these are always places where the father and the mother would have gone to shops, if I thought they have one. But of course, the problems are always the type that parents do not necessarily sit at home to take care of children. No. In fact, it's a community property where your father and mother would have gone, and then when you see the children of your neighbor, you say, "Will I not job? No, we'll never job. If you don't have them, too bad. Let them be playing at night." You don't give your picking their food this morning. That kind of life. But the one thing that was constant is that we have people, the brothers, the sisters among the neighborhood, who we just like want to do a lesson. That was how this thing started. And then it comes as a thing of saying that I have a truth and I'm passionate about these people. I'm passionate about the children, get child. I'm passionate about this, I'm passionate about that. And so we have troops that involved. And with this kind of thing, we have some amount of recognition, some amount of being able to feed ourselves. Because under that kind of corporate tax, people were able to get some kinds of job to do at end of year parties, at different events. So recognition started coming in. We equally have the ones that say that we are a guild, an association. So because we are an association, under that we have gone, for instance, where we say that within this formation, we want to be able to bargain better. I remember the sports, there was this particular sport that was done in Lagos here, and that was how GON started anyway. GON means Guild of Nigerian Dancers. And then we were, something 85 or something, I'm trying to look at the names, what name. Then we were asked to, the body, different groups, were asked to come and do the opening and closing ceremony, the calisthenics and all of that. So at the National Theatre, we were involved and we were trying to do the opening, tags of when you use N, you form N with, form whatever, I, form G, calisthenics. And 3 weeks into it, we were unceremoniously laid off. And they brought in some Chinese people who came with laptops. And what they were doing is just to put this, and they told those children, okay, can we have everybody fight out this way? What we thought we were doing for 3 weeks, and we're there shouting, sweating. Within 3-4 days, those people have achieved. And we could not sue the government, because we are all but different groups. We have AKs, we have so just different set of boys that came together to say that I know I recognize as an expert, so let's come together to execute this project. So there was no name. And when we were being laid off, we couldn't sue the government. And so the consciousness to form a body became very evident. And so that was when we started to say, let us start having a voice. And starting to have a voice comes with, okay, what to do now? What to form is a union. No, you can't form a union. You must have so and so number, and you must have presence in so and so states to say you want to form a union. And so, okay, if you can't form a union, you can form a guild. So the concept of the guild comes in, and then also we're looking for stronger ways by which we will, like I said before, have a voice to react to what happens in our own environment. We only have a government presence from time to time. The government presence, National Council for Arts and Culture, the different Lagos states, the Lagos Council for Arts and Culture, they are always there, but they are not doing anything. Why they are not doing anything? Because they are government controlled. And of course, wherever the governor is going, they are mandated to go there and go and praise worship him. Yeah, but then people still rush there because that entails that from time to time you get a way of some amount of salary in your pocket. But that's not all. So we now have people who are coming out to say, enough of all of these, I want to say what the government wants me to say. And that's where I want to applaud what the beautiful people from Bariga they are doing. We have most of them that are forming troops in Bariga. Not only are they trying to address the sorry situations in that environment where they are already neglected, like we had in Edinburgh, but these are radical sets of people who wants to say what the government does not want to listen to. With their acts, they want to say exactly what the government does not want to listen to, but they are necessary. And so, some of them are conformists, but most of them are radicals. And to this, the fact that none of them have been imprisoned thus far, I want to applaud that. But it is to say that people are always, in whatever happens, they are always looking for a voice. And as children, as adults, the moment you are a conformist, you can never have identity. I always use this for my students. I say, if you are going to play Fuji music, Juju music, take for instance Juju, there are two extremes, Sonyade, Ebenezer Obey. Whatever Juju music you want to play, you fall in between these poles. So, whatever you play, however good, however wonderful it is, there's, you are looking like, playing to the old end like Ebenezer Obey, that's no, like the master. That's what don't stay. And if you want to be energetic and you want to say that you're damn impossible, full of vibes, you say, I think that, so you're still the king. Ask Chino Peters. He did that for several years until he added something new to it, which is Afro, and then of course, it's part of Afro Juju, So what I see dance people do these days is they are trying to go into the uncommon grounds. For instance, use dance as therapy to heal, because they notice that most of these people that are eating from, they are always sitting in the offices, the bones, they are always obese. So they're telling you that we can use that to cure your problems instead of just taking tablets. So they are going to uneasy areas, especially with dance. And this should be applauded. To me, dance has remained one area where youths find refuge, not only for voice, for their educational, recreational, as well as social and political integrations. It's a way of knowing ourselves, it's a way of asserting ourselves, and it's a way of reminding ourselves that we are, at times, it's a local, I want to know my background, and more, I want to be a universal student. So that's why continuously we look at what trends, what is trending outside there, and believe you me, any dance that we see out there overnight is already being learned, and then is beyond anything. You come to any slum, that's where you see the finest of the refined dancers. Thank you. On this note, I want to say that dance has and will continue to be a way of expressing, a way of identifying with, and a way of making ourselves relevant in our society. Thank you.
Thank our dear Professor Abert Oikelome for this wonderful initiative. I want to tell us that performativity is the current way to go. Performativity is the current way to go. Long ago, psychologists told us that those who express themselves live healthier than those who bottle every experience up. And now that everybody is overburdened, I will encourage all of us, apart from dancing for this or dance, let us make use of body expressivity to have a sustainable development, human development, psychological, physical, and otherwise. And for the young ones, it's wonderful. We really thank God that dance, music, they are natural to man, and also the root of African existence. That is our African way. I always say that the African way of life is the theater way, because whatever we can say, we can do. And so performativity is part and parcel of our life. And so the youth are already in tune. My concern is the theme of this conference. How can the university play its role in ensuring that these wonderful performance arts that they help to sustain both the economic, the physical, and the mental well-being of the youth? How can the university do that? Well, ordinarily, the university knows what to do, and the Department of Creative Arts is a champion in that regard. We have a program what we call Town and Gown. Otumba, you remember that? Town and Gown, for which university even give us one big bus for that. And so we know the role that the university can play. We know that our being there will make a whole lot of sense. But with the way education is in Nigeria currently, I'm afraid we are not living equal to the task. But I hope it will never die. But where I will encourage all of us, and my colleagues in particular, those in music, those in theater, and those in, especially those in dance, like our scholar, Dr. Felix Emolua, who is our mentor in dance. I will advise us to take it up as a passion individually. If we are doing something, the university is also doing something. What Dr. Oikelome is doing with this symposium, the credit goes to the University of Lagos, the credit goes to the Department of Creative Arts. So let us go out and help these truths. I was delighted when Dr. Morua was talking about the behavior truth. Imagine Dr. Morua going there and trying to offer leadership, trying to offer scholarship, trying to strengthen their voice and all that. They will grow. You can't imagine the growth and development that will come into that. But I know all our challenges. But let's not allow the passion to die. So let us go in, let us go out individually and see how we can harness everything to help our young ones. They're always trying to find out how to help themselves in a society that they felt they were neglected. And this dance, drama, music is a viable outlet. And so the university should encourage them. If the university is currently incapacitated by the political and financial situation of the university, of the country, we as individual performing artists can do the little we can. And so I wish you a fruitful deliberation, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, as the HOD was about to speak, Dr. Tunji Shotemere came in. Please can we just give him a round of applause? So quickly we go on to the next guest speaker.
Dr. Florence Oikelome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, my head of department. You're welcome to this place. What more can I say, or what more should I say? Dr. Emira has said it all. But because I prepared the slide, I'm going to talk to the slide I prepared. Music therapy as a tool for sustainable development among young people in Lagos, Nigeria. They mix with all classes of society and they are therefore most dangerous. That's a food for thought. So, we are talking about sustainable development today. We want to talk about sustainable development. Sustainable development is the hallmark or is the goal of the UN, the United Nations. And by 2030, they believe that the 16 goals should have or must have been achieved. There are only 9 years before the 2030 deadline for achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Part of its agenda is to ensure inclusion, equity, and diversity. How do we ensure our hearts emerge as a force for sustainable development? How do we make sure that these people we are talking about, the people living in the slum, are included in the scheme of things? And that is why we want to bring today, we want to talk about the arts we use, the tool we use. We have talked so much on the different art forms that we have, the music, the dance, the literature, poetry, stories, dance, drama, and all of those things. Those things are the tools we actually want to use to ensure that we include all these ones that have been stigmatized as living a low life, stigmatized as being poor. So we are here today just to rub minds together to see how we can further push this goal, how we can further ensure that we are part of those that will see to the realization of the goals that the UN is actually talking about. We see in the society where we live globally, young people are 3 times as likely as adults to be unemployed due to no work experience, and sometimes there are so many structural barriers to that. And then we see that currently, globally, we have people that are not employed, they are not educated, and they are not even trained. This means they are neither gaining experience in the labor market, nor receiving an income from work, nor enhancing their education and skills. Next slide. Exposure to the arts can help teens develop many positive skills and capacities that are valued by leaders and employers, such as persistence, collaboration, creative thinking, problem solving, and motivation. First of all, the benefits of getting engaged in the arts are so many. Research shows that students in the arts are 4 times more likely to be recognized for academic achievement. Art is the key to open the hearts, minds, and imagination to inspire action for a better tomorrow. Imaginative activities can lead to better skills in social interactions and emotional regulation. Arts can increase the patient's experience, such as we will talk about music therapy, but for now, let me just hold on to that. Some people observe that equity of access to music education should be a human right in the African continent. Due to the poverty level, many learners, especially in primary schools, continue to get the crust, continue to get the crumbs that fall from the table of the experts. We do not have access to quality education as far as music is concerned in this area, in this slum, in these places where you hardly find people that have gone to spend their 4 years in the university going there to teach, because at the end of the day, they do not even have the necessary money to pay them for their services. So the disappearance of music from the elementary classroom curriculum is an increasing problem in today's public school system, especially among the children living in the slums. Studies over time realize that when children are taught arts in school, their overall development is fostered and their growth is inevitable. The institution of higher learning have the potential to develop these creative ideas or creative individuals. Yes, my head of department was talking about the town and gown thing. The University of Lagos is so passionate about taking the gown to the town. And each time you hear the Vice Chancellor always talking about skills acquisition, entrepreneurship, and all of those things. Those are the things we sell out to the public. And most of the times we see people who, even in those departments, we see people who are so passionate about taking what they have learned, not just remaining in the department, but taking it to those people who ordinarily cannot afford such education. Like my Dr. Emerua, the head of department challenged him to taking his leadership, his skills to these places. This will actually go a long way in helping these ones develop a kind of self-esteem. Saying you coming to them, coming to their level to teach them, it will not only motivate them, it will also help them to aspire, to be inspired, to move on to better place in the future. How can the government ensure a gap is bridged between these people educationally, between these people that are musically malnourished, between these people that are living in a disadvantaged setting? It is not their fault, it is no fault of theirs anyway, they found themselves there. How do we ensure that these people are brought into the scheme of things? That is why we are here today. Next slide, please. Awareness of the need for these children living in the slum to get this kind of education is necessary, because this awareness of heart can be acquired early and then maintained throughout life. Music in schools. Of course, we've been lamenting over the years that the curriculum we are operating with presently in Nigeria, it is not giving us enough access to teach the music that we want to teach these people. Sometimes we want to teach them so many things, but because we are restricted by the fact that the curriculum or the syllabus is like enshrined in one, creative and cultural arts, you do not even have access to finish all of music, talk less of creative art, cultural, visual art, and all of those things. So we encourage, or we are saying that we need enough time. We need opportunities to explore all of this music that we have. And then we've seen people who have said, we just need to move on, we just need to ensure that these children get enough of education. Next slide, please. The United Nations for Education and Cultural Organization have added that art education is the key to the training of generations who are capable of reinventing the world they have inherited. The arts promotes building meaningful connections and encourage a positive classroom community. During the growth stage, the individual identifies with significant people in their school, gets feedback from them, and develops self-concept. And each of these stages of development help the individual to become who he or she will be in the future. However, everyone that has right to education should know that music is also one of those educations that people should have easy access to. Education is a right of every child. With our arts, we can educate the world, we can educate these people in the slum. We do not have to just teach them how to read and write. But through the arts that we have, through the music that we do, through the dance that we do, through all of these art forms, we can actually educate them to become what they need to be in the future. Next slide. I'm going to just look a bit into this aspect theoretically. And this theory I'm talking about is aspiration failure. It's the failure to aspire or to inspire one's potential. And we see that equity is what we talked about in one of those goals that we need to achieve. There is always a gap between the poor and the rich. There's no way you will bridge that. The poor you will always have amongst you. The Bible talked about that. So if you now have people living in the slum, how do you bridge the gap between them and those that are privileged to have? It's education. And the education we are proposing to them is using our tool to ensure that they have a voice of their own, talking to the government, this is what we are going through, we can live a better life, because we share the same preference, we share the same behavioral biases, we share the same thing with the people you feel they are better off. We also have dreams, we have aspirations, we want to do this, but unfortunately, we cannot do that because we are poor. We do not have the financial wherewithal to get what we need to get. So in all of this rate of aspiration made my group and I, my group, 3 of us, we engaged the children in Makoko, some part of Makoko, in art training to reduce musical malnutrition, to reduce a kind of no education or low education. When we started all of this, despite the fact that these children are living in this Makoko, in that particular place, they were still very, very interested in learning. They were still willing to express themselves. The first time we got there, these children were like, they were wondering what we came to do. And through the help of the ballet, the traditional leader, we were able to penetrate them. The first time they were withdrawn, but by the time we went, subsequently we had interactions with them. We do not just teach them the tool that we have using music, dance, and visual art, but we also, at one point or the other, speak to them, teach them. A lot of them do not understand English because it's the community that we addressed. A lot of them do not understand English, but at the end of the day, they were able to pick little, we were able to interact with them, teaching them some of the songs in English, some of the songs in the language that they have there. And by the time we started with them, a lot of them were able to pick, and then they were willing to, they were so free with us, they wanted to just have us all to themselves every time. So those are the kind of things they aspire, they want to know more, they have been inspired, and they want to use this to voice what they really want the government to do to them. Take it to places like hospitals, take it to orphanage homes, take it to old people's homes, take it to schools, teaching them, and then getting something in return. By that, our nation is changed for the good. So, the benefits of music therapy, when we talk music therapy, let me just go layman. Music therapy is just music healing. It's an interaction or a relationship that evolves between you and a client, somebody that wants to get a kind of refreshment from you. So by the time you use all of this, there must be a relationship, there must be an interaction, there must be something you want to offer that person, and there must be something the person is getting in return. So at the end of trying to ensure that all of these children, get engaged in music, we're also offering them healing in a society that is insane, in a society where people don't care if you eat, especially now. People don't even, maybe when he was talking, he said, your neighborhood, I don't eat. That one is those days. But now, when you hardly even feed your family, people do not so much care about who is eating or something. But at the end of the day, when you engage all of this one, you get that personal healing. They may not have eaten in the morning. They might just skip their meals, maybe morning 00. But at the end of the day, that particular time, by the time they are exposed to certain music, they know there is hope. Because the music is giving them reassurance that there is hope. So that is what we teach. That is what we engage in. And then we've seen different people that have used music for personal healing, music for, for personal growth, and all of those things. Sometimes you may want to tell somebody, do exercise because you are getting overboard. And the person is like, what is exercise? But by the time you introduce some pieces of music or you introduce some dancing steps, the person that you have been begging to do exercise will take up that dancing steps, and then you see the person just gradually reducing in weight and all of those things, and the health is achieved, the health is improved upon. Those are some of those the things we really need to enforce as we want our nation to develop year in and year out. Like I talked about music as tool for rejuvenating the elderly ones. These are the things we can take up to ensure that we are also enriched or empowered, as the case may be. And then I collated some information from my master's students who we had music therapy together, and so many of them gave a testimony of how music has helped them to reach one person or the other. And then we see a lot of these testimonies actually are the things that encourage us to go on, to see that we are not just doing the performing arts for fun. We are not just doing it because we do not have any other vocation to do, or we do not have any other course of study to study, because sometimes they give us students that are not willing to study music. But we are doing it because we know that through this music, a lot of people will be transformed. Through this music, a lot of lives will be changed. And that is why we're doing it. And we see it, it's so obvious during the pandemic, post-pandemic now, or we are still in it sparingly. A lot of people depended on the art form, different art forms, to get themselves engaged, to get themselves forgetting about the lockdown. A lot of homes engaged the use of music, Nollywood films. A lot of people went into molding and creating some forms of art. And that's really helped them to go on. Otherwise, they would have been bored. Otherwise, depression would have been the order of the day. But thanks to the arts. The conclusion is the role that the university plays in ensuring that the performing arts helps in shaping the lives of the people in the slum. Sometimes our curriculum needs to be decolonized. We need to ensure that we are not operating in the antiquated curriculum that will debar us or make us not to see reason why we need to touch the lives of the people we are dealing with. The university is recycling, never dying. Scholars should find new paradigms for writing, for an artistic practice that is being operated. There is need to approach a kind of paradigm shift that will help negate these negative emotions. We should not see crude. We should not see the people living in the slum as crude, or we should not see them as rude. We should not see them that they are devastated, but we should see how we can joyfully engage them. That is why we are here. And then we see what we need to do to ensure that what they love to do, they are empowered to do that. And my vision is to ensure every child living in the slum is included in formal and informal education or learning through music and lending my voice in defense of the downtrodden in the society. Hence, my mouth will do the spoken word. Our university has its vision, and its vision is in learning and research, and then ensuring that everybody is able to give back to the society. So we are suggesting that regularly engaging in some creative activity can be associated with improved self-well-being, coping during problems, during major disasters, and then pathway to celebration of such or of things like this is to inspire, engage, skill up, show off, make chorus, make music together. Thank you very much for having me, sir.
Good day, everyone. And standing on the existing protocol, I don't want to waste time. I'm happy to be here. The main topic of this symposium says music and dance as tools for sustainable development among young people in Lagos State, Nigeria. Now, when I was going through the introduction written by Professor Oikelome about this symposium, I was able to develop a perspective of study, which says the role of the university community and non-governmental agencies in appropriating performing art to shaping the lives of young people in Nigeria. I remember when the HOD was talking just now, she said, what will be the role of the university? What will be the role of the university in shaping the lives of young people, apart from teaching in schools? Now, I was able to drive out a topic that relates to my subject of study here. And I say, appropriation of performing arts as tools for shaping the lives of people in the society. I will be talking about MFM Guitar Choir by the special grace of God and Joseph Oluwatade, the leader of MFM Guitar Choir. So from the topic that I was able to comment, I'm going to develop these key points, discuss them as introduction before I finally go to the case study. Let's talk about performing arts. Many scholars will agree that performing arts is a performance of scripted or unscripted body actions that are displayed before a spectating audience. In consonance to this statement, Ade Folaju states that the presentation of such performance may be done when the performers themselves are present or absent. So this relates to recorded performances whereby even those that performed, are able to sit down and watch what they have performed. Now, you should not forget that performing arts encompasses music, dance, drama, and some other forms of media art. But over the years, performing arts has influenced a larger populace of young people, either positively or negatively, with regards to its appropriation and misappropriation in the society. So this now leads us to what we are talking about, appropriation. We are talking about shaping people's lives using music and dance. Music and dance and other forms of performing art, they are tools. But it is when the tool is rightly used, that is when we can gain such results. So that is where appropriation comes in. So you can have a tool and use it wrongly, you get a negative result. For example, this issue of the barrier people, young people, is a good one. But it is because those that are doing that exploit, they are using that tool in the right way. What of a situation where you are using that tool of dance and drama to exploit those children? You mess them up and all this kind of thing. So we are talking about appropriation. Let's go on. So how performing art is used as a tool determines how people's lives are shaped either in right or wrong direction. Next one. Misappropriation in some cases might be the reason why some young people catch up to mischief and immoral acts through the performances they watch. We all know what is going on in social media. So you cannot see everything that we are using or that we are seeing on social media are actually being used rightly. Let's go. The right category of people, let's talk about people now. The right category of people is required for performing art as a tool to be effective. For example, misappropriation occasionally causes the reason why children that are underage are introduced to watching pornography and music, drama, and other forms of nudity. And yet, it's still the same forms of art. So, I think the aspect of appropriation should not be neglected when we are making use of any tool. Now, let's talk about the society. Music, dance, drama, and other forms of performing arts are meant to be tools for transforming, redirecting, reorientating, and healing the society of humanistic problems, starting from individuals. So we actually have the right tool, but are we using it rightly? Performing art is not just existing. Music, dance, and drama, they are not just existing. Some people have misappropriated the usage of these tools before. And that's why we record the lives of so many young people that are damaged. Let's continue. However, performing arts in some cases are complicated issues of economic, political, tribal clashes within the society. This happens when the context of performance is misappropriated. Let's go, sir. Now let me go to the subject matter. I'll be discussing elephant guitar choir. I'll be talking about the inception of elephant guitar choir, the etymology of the phrase guitar choir. How did it come about? What's the origin? What's the etymology? What's the reason? What's the ideology behind it? Someone called me before, about 10 years ago, said, does that really make sense? Guitar choir can be passive. I said, don't understand. And that's why I'm a musicologist. Okay, so the concept of elephant guitar choir, aim and objectives of elephant guitar choir, the scope and limitation, location of elephant guitar choir, performance content, act of the heart, performance of various musical concepts and styles, musical influences, and the impact of this same performing art upon our members over the years. Let's go on, sir. Let's talk about the inception. The Multi-Fire and Locus Ministries, as a non-governmental organization, appropriates the use and music, drama, and other media arts. Amongst many other choirs is the guitar choir, which was established on the 3rd of September 2006 by Dr. G.K. Olubaya, the General Manager of Noting of Fire and Ministries. Let's go, sir. Now, talking about the etymology of the phrase guitar choir. The etymology of the two words describes the ideologies that support how these two words were formed. So the origin of the phrase guitar choir comes from the perspective of a choir singing and being accompanied by only the guitars. And that's actually not common. Then, the second one, conglomeration of guitars sounding the vocal part of a musical piece meant for the choir. I remember one of the first pieces that was played then when the guitar choir started was the Hallelujah Chorus. And I wanted them to learn it fast, so I asked them to play. I taught them the vocal part. Okay, fine. You already know the score of the vocal part. So play that score. Use your guitar, don't sing. And it was splendid. So that's another way of expressing what the guitar choir concept is meant to be. The next one. Concept of MFM guitar choir. So the concept has to do with conglomeration of guitars at various levels of acoustic bass and lead, being codified into various genres of music for the purpose of evangelism. So this is one of our concerts we had in 2016, and we have close to 1,000 people in this concert. We do our anniversary every year. This year, about 2 weeks ago, we just celebrated the 15th anniversary to the glory of God. Let's continue, sir. Now let's talk about the aim and objectives. The aim of establishing MFM guitar choir is to use guitar or guitar music as a form of evangelism. Some of the objectives are: number one, to use guitar music as channels to inculcate morals, thereby minimizing the rate of mischief in the society. To a very large extent, the guitar choir does that. We are all musicians, we are all performers. You know, when they say satiric music, satire, when you use music to correct certain things in the society, we do that in the church as well. Want to correct fornication? It's not only pastor that needs to preach. You sing it, put it in a song, act it, and eventually, let the congregation see that it is wrong to follow fornication. Okay, next one, to take idle children off street and engage them in useful adventures. This has actually worked, and that's part of the reason why we have this crowd. Guitar as an instrument is fascinating, and the fact that you can sing and play on your own without being electrified is part of the key. It's part of the key. It's very difficult for you to play violin and sing along, and I don't think there's a magic anyone can perform to play trumpet and be singing at the same time. So I'm trying to tell you the factors that brings about this large population. Let's continue. To provide platform, okay, that's one there. Let me just talk about it. To provide platform for people to discover their hidden potentials and maximize them. To a very large extent, God has really helped us to achieve that. Let's go, sir. These are some of our children performing a different program. These little kids was performing the program organized by Senator Lulu. That's about 5 years ago. But it gets grown up now. Let's go on. So, scope and delimitation. The concept of guitar choir covers a wide gamut of people of age range from 3 years old and 78 years old. So, the oldest member of the guitar choir, I forgot I didn't bring the picture, is 78 years. She's a grandma. We used to call her Mama 70. At 70, she could still jump around, do dance with other kids, in the group. So the youngest person is 3 years old, like that kind of a kid. Now, stratified population, the large population of the whole choir are further divided into sections so that you can have children, teenage, youth, and adults. So that helps us in coordinating the training. Of course, you cannot imagine only Lagos shout and we do that. Now, let's talk about location. The MFM Guitar Choir was established in Mountain of Fire American Ministries International Headquarters, 13 Olasimbo Street, Lagos. The group has further expanded to over 35 locations in Lagos metropolis. The group has also extended to over 12 regions of MFM outside Lagos within Nigeria. Let's go, sir. So this was our first training where we trained representatives from Lagos, within Lagos. That was 2015, January. Next one. Now, this program, we invited all our members across the nation. And this program pulled out close to 1,500 guitarists. That's just that program. Okay, now let's talk about the performance contest. The performance contest of the guitar choir leverages on singing and playing the guitar, choreography, and other forms of dance, and we also act drama. And sometimes all these are entwined in one performance. So we ensure that in our concept of music, we catch you. I mean, in quotes, we catch your attention. If you don't like our music, you like the dance. If you don't like the dance, you like the drama. And we don't want you to listen to our music and close your eyes. So that's why we have to include dance and drama. So when you close your eyes, you are just hearing the music alone, or want to catch the whole of your attention. So we compose songs towards that. Please, just go on, sir. Well, these are our dance. They also play the guitar. Go on, sir. The art of the art. This just talk about the performance itself. These are medium through which we do the performance, like performance, discography, concerts, competition, and all that. Let's go on, sir. Now, these are guitar styles. These are styles of music that we formulate or that we derive. For example, we use guitar alone. By the time we use about 6 guitars, we actually know that we are not using keyboard. And we can also generate percussion from the guitar. We have two forms of percussion. By beating the strings, striking the strings with some striking techniques, we can realize the sound of the talking drum. We've done that several times and we do it over and over again. And again, you can also beat the box of the guitar. If you beat, you see, sometimes I tell people, what is sound? You cannot listen. Sometimes we are getting to the world where you don't even need drum again. If I beat this again, this just like this, and you take this sound to the studio, you will never know that it's not drum set. By the time they reset it, it will be so thick. Let's go, sir. Okay, so these are just some of the styles that we do. Let's go. Or this is one of our performances where we sing contemporary. Musical influences. We got influences from different places. Starting from Louis Armstrong. That the GO is very versatile in music. He gave me a song one day and he said this song was done in 1926. I could hear it. So he gave us most of these things. We have access to a lot of songs, and this is where we got influences, and that has really been helping us. Let's go. Now let's talk about the impact. I'm running on gradually. Now, having done all this for some years, we discovered that we are receiving invitation to travel abroad. And these invitations are being sponsored by Dr. D.K. Olukoya alone. As I'm talking to you, I've been to Trinidad and Tobago. Please, just go on. I think there are some of the pictures there. This is Sao Paulo, Brazil, where we are performing. We are waiting for a flight. We have to wait for about 12 hours, so we just started playing, singing, and some of those white people gathered and we were watching. Go on. This is Jamaica. We ensured that we got there. We took smart pictures with the statue of. This was Trinidad and Tobago. Go on, sir. This is Togo. There are other places which I didn't put the picture there because of time. Uganda, South Africa, and all that. Invitation to visit. At the time, we brought an expert. This is Imanjajo from Scotland for a master class for our members. So he came to give master classes to our members. We also had a concert for him. You can see his picture there with one other lady that was invited for violin master class. Continue, sir. He joined us dancing. He got to know that African music is rich. So he had to be dancing. He's standing over there. Let's go on. So impact of our program. Okay, now let's talk about the Lagos State Choir Award. I'm sorry, I'm already taking more of our time, but I'm running on. Lagos State Choir Award. This group won Lagos State Choir Award this year, January. We had 30 choirs in the whole of Lagos. And how we emerged was to the glory of God. But I discovered that prayer and experience also helped. Because we have been doing it for the past 15 years, some other choirs were just 2 years old. So that was how we won the award to Glory of God. These are some of our performances there. So, on a final note, as a result of all this, we discovered that people wanted to be following the guitar choir. As of January, we had 1,200 followers. As I'm talking to you, there are 22,000. Why? Because as I'm talking to you, a lot of people that are not even members of MFF, they said they want to learn the guitar. So, learning from COVID, that was how we started online guitar training. So, the online guitar training now is starting next week, September. As I'm talking to you on this roster, I have over 180 people that are not members of MFF that want to learn the guitar, and they are starting next week. And it's free. Thank you so much, sir.
Nigeria has an agency, first of its kind in Africa. Other African countries now have it. They have an agency called National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP. NAPTIP is the acronym. And this agency has worked with NGOs and on behalf of the government to fight human trafficking on all fronts, on all counts. But if you look at the statistics, you will realize that thousands and thousands of Nigerian women and girls are in bondage, are in slavery all across Europe and everywhere. And what we do is we collaborate with these partners, including funders abroad, who would say, we will partner with you once we locate a Nigerian girl or a woman who is in bondage. You can send them back home, and then you can rescue, rehabilitate, and reintegrate them into the society again. And that's what we have done for 25 years. Is it very easy? No. Do we get, if you look at the statistics, like I said, compared to the number, the millions of Nigerian women and girls, because we work from the gender aspect, we work with women and girls. If you look at, we don't even want to talk about the boys who are lured into this through football now and all sorts of things. Some of them are lured through homosexuality, and a lot of them are in bondage. When you look at how many the agency is able to bring out of this slavery compared to the number of people that are there, you will realize that the work is enormous. And just one person cannot do it. Government cannot do it alone. And like we always say, people ask us, media houses interview us all the time. We're saying that, and we're saying that to University of Lagos also this morning, that it is everybody's responsibility. It is not the responsibility of government alone. They can't even handle it. They've not been able to give us power for as long as I have lived in Lagos State or lived in Nigeria, and I'm in my 60s. So I want to say that this is everybody's responsibility. A child is distressed, a child is, you don't even want to talk about Europe. There's what we call internal trafficking, which is somebody's brought from the Akwa Ibom and thrown into the brothel. She's in the brothel, and every man that comes to meet with her is paying, and the fees go to the owner of the brothel. She's just given 500 naira to buy her sanitary pad, and then she's ready again to meet 10, 15, 20 men a day. A young girl who is a virgin. You have seen a lot of life histories. I have, met them myself. The founder of our NGO is late now, and as she was committing it onto my hands, I know some of the stories that she has told me. She followed the government. She took the government, not that she followed. She took the government to places in Italy to see where thousands of Nigerian girls are in bondage, on the street in the cold during winter, during autumn, standing there and receiving men, up to 22 men a day. One human being who decided she wanted to walk. she didn't want to prostitute. So they are forced into prostitution, and those things are there. So government is doing all they can. Government has not done enough. It's possible because of our population. I don't want to give them any reason, but we need to stop playing lip service to this and arise and do something about it. Over the years, we have always created awareness. We're going to public places. We are doing that next week. We are going to Balogun Market. There are hundreds of girls, underage girls, which is against the law, who are being used as kekere. Bring that lace when you go to, you don't want her to go and buy lace. They are there. We're going there, next week to go and create awareness. So we've always created awareness. We've always written proposals to United Nations. We are United Nations consultants ourselves. We've always written proposals and done a lot of that. And just in the last few months, we decided we were going to consider using music and art therapy for the battered women who are suffering, who have suffered low self-esteem, whose lives have been destroyed. When you see a life which is destroyed, you may not even know the meaning of it, but when you see one, you will know. I have met them at the airport. You look at them, even me as an ordained pastor, I'm telling myself, how is this one going to be helped? How am I going to start? Where am I going to start from? Just by mere looking at the individual, And I am only saying that whatever it is we can do. There have been girls from the University of Lagos who have abandoned class in 200 level, 100 level, and they have gone because they said they will get hard currency in Dubai, they will get hard currency in Spain, or Germany, or Italy, or wherever. And they have left and they come back to tell us the story. So this morning, we appreciate this gathering and what Dr. Oikelome has done. And we want to say that we'll keep the flag flying, but at the same time, please let's have a third eye to comb out these things because they are everywhere. Like I said, it doesn't have to be those who are going abroad. Your neighbor has a girl who is there, who is getting paid every month. And the pay is going to the brother who brought them. And maybe you even have them in your house. Before I joined this, I worked into American oil companies. Before I joined this bank wagon, I was one of them. I had a house help. I didn't care how they came. I had to go to work and my children had to be taken care of. Meanwhile, these men who bring them will take all the money. That's trafficking.
disappoint us.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Agbo. Primitive medicine. Deadly medicine.
Yeah, you got it. We give you television, mobile phone, and electricity.
Yes.
Oyibo, before you bring your electricity, we don dey use our moon.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Orúkọ mi ni Àyànlérè Àlàmú Alájẹdé. A bí mi ní ìlú kan tí wọ́n ń pè ní Ọdẹ Òmu. Ọdẹ Òmu ilé tí Òṣogbo ló wà ní 19 tó ti pẹ́. Gúdúgúdú ni wọ́n ń pè ìlú tí mo gbé lọ́wọ́ yìí. Gúdúgúdú a tún máa ń pè ní Kúsanrín. Nígbà tí a pè lè ní ìyáàlù tàbí dùndún, ìyáàlù tàbí dùndún, eléyìí ni ọkọ ẹ̀. This is the king of drums. Kóníká shape ni.
Bàbá kí ló dé tá ṣe ń pè lé ní dùndún?
Eléyìí dùndún eléyìí ni pé bó ṣe máa ń dún gan, bó ṣe máa ń sound. Dùndún, dùndún. nínú ohun ẹ wò nínú eléyìí náà ni a ti mú gúdúgúdú bẹ́ẹ̀ ni gúdúgúdú kò.
When we started Kineso Concept in Unilag in 2011, the vision was, for me, a lot of my classmates, I was the only one who actually came to my class in Unilag to study theatre, who selected theatre in JAM. Every other person wanted law, mass comm, and then they just dumped them in creative arts. And that, for me, was the problem. And then to make money, you have to be a problem solver. So I told myself, okay, so the next thing would be start a company where all these people will not change their mind, where you're going to employ all of them in the future, have a big, create an industry.
My name is Gifted Victor. I would like to say a very big thank you to Big Mommy, because without her, I would not know where I would have been today. And with her now, I've learned so many things I don't know before. Like now, I can pray. She taught me how to pray. She taught me how to read, how to write. Now, I can do everything in the arts.
She's like a mother to us. She taught us everything we know. She taught us how to pray, how to read, how to write, how to dance, how to drum, how to sing, and everything we know today. She taught us how to be clean, how to keep our environment clean.
She took me away from the slum, from the ghetto called Elijah before. If I'm sleeping, rain used to fall on my body, sun used to shine on my body. I don't normally go to school before, but now she took me to school and I'm in SSC. I have to say a very big thank you to Big Mommy. God bless you.
How do you use music and dance and the other aspect of the art to give them a sense of belonging, to bring them back to sanity, to reassure them? I mean, I think it's one of the things we need to also, discuss in the process of our interactive session. But I'll tell you one thing. A week before an event, I received an invitation from Kineso Foundation for a program they did in Alliance Française. During that time, I was at my wit's end. In fact, I was very depressed. It was because you know what happened, and the effect of what happened to me was quite blowing. And I was gradually slipping away. Gradually. Yeah, people would pray, people would counsel, people would this, people would that. It's good. But if you're in it, you're in it. And it takes God to really take you out of it. And it's then I got to realize that yes, God can also use anything. I mean, if He can use prayers, He can use counseling, He can also use music and dance. He can use art. When He invited me, I didn't want to go. Because I said, I'm But that morning, He sent a message to me to remind me again through the secretary, and I said, if I don't do now, Joshua will say, okay, let me just breeze in and then do political appearance. You know what political appearance is now? Hi, Joshua, yeah! And then maybe he sees me, I'll just go and sit down, and then 2 minutes after, breeze out. So I came in and I stayed glued. Because the drama, the singing was about one that was depressed, and the way the whole thing was playing out in the drama was such that it was like it was talking to me in the afterlife. They said, don't try it. You know what I mean by don't try it? I mean, don't come to a point where you just say, look, let's close the chapter. Yeah, the chapter is closed, but don't close your own chapter. Why don't you just see how to open a new chapter and more and for the rest. And everything that was being said in that singing, that drama was just hitting at me. It wasn't message. It wasn't a deliverance session. It was just the art by people who actually have been trained, those who had been through such too. Just like Flo was talking about music as therapy. That thing was highly therapeutic, and for once I felt myself being lifted from the dread and giving me something to really hope for. Joshua, can you share a bit about that story?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Joshua Alabi. I want to play a short video. I hope you would. Okay. Okay, so while we're trying to get the video to start, I also graduated from the Creative Arts Department here, tutored by Dr. Felix and Dr. Abert Oikelome. And we started killing some, yes. We started killing stuff from here, and from the other video, while I was here, as I said, when I met with Dr. Abert Oikelome, we started killing stuff because, for two reasons. A lot has been said about Bariga. I am also a Bariga boy. I was not born in Bariga. I walked my way into Bariga. How and why? Because I thought that I had met the people I wanted to be like, who thought the way I wanted to think. When I met them in 2003, that's the Council of Africa, Chevron Adefila. And while I was in Unilab, before Kiniso started, I realized that I was the only person who had come to my class in the whole of 150 people to study theatre. Every other person wanted to study something else. And it became a bigger problem. After graduation, where do we go? We know there's a general unemployment problem in Nigeria, but as a banker, as an accountant, student, or as a lawyer, there's still somewhere to go at least. Study engineering, at least there's somewhere to go. So for the theatre student, where do you go? The National Theatre is now the church. So what do we do? And that's what informed the reason we started Kiniso. Why we started Kiniso. And straight into the play we had that Dr. Albert just mentioned. It's called Sniper. We made this short video during the research last year. The whole time during the lockdown, that's what we're working on with therapists, with psychologists, with social advocates and other artists. And we think that mental health generally has been underrated, has been it is less talked about. And when we also say, when people mention, at the sound of mental health, things fly around. We begin to think of a lot of things. And of course, yes, it's a lot of things. But, so, we started to work on Sniper. And Sniper for us, we just wanted to look at the state of mind of people going through depression and who have committed suicide, or who want to, or who may want to in the future. And during that time, during the course of our research, we met with families who have lost boys and girls to suicide. We met with quite a lot of people who heard stories. And we also realized that it's not a spiritual problem, because we met with pastors who had tried it. They didn't succeed. Some of them are now
disabled in one or two ways. We met with military men. It's not a sickness for young people, as they used to say. Okay, and I mean, coming into music, it's a very powerful song made by a friend of our company who's based in South Africa, who just slept one day and then also thought about, okay, what if I don't wake up? What do I want to see from this sleep? Because every day we wake up, it's about one problem or the other, and as they say now, problem will be finished. So while we were working on Sniper, we thought that how do we help people rethink this thing that they do? We went to Yaba Psychiatry, we went to Luth, we worked with SOPI, we worked with other NGOs, and while talking, we met with some who are still being treated. And of course, the question is always not even knowing what to ask. And as our mommy said there, you look at them and then you ask yourself, how do you want to help? What do you want to do? Or is this person redeemable? But thankfully to theatre, to music, to dance, we were able to come up with that play. How we came about it, we don't know. Just stories of 8 people who had committed suicide, and then now their spirits are roaming around town. And for me, quite touching. It's the only play that will ever produce that will make everyone on the team, the cast and the crew, watch over and over again and then cry over and over again. And while Dr. Abert saw it on stage, each time we left the stage, while working on it, we had to recreate it in a way that we don't let them move out of the stage at all. Because while we were rehearsing, each time they moved out of the stage to maybe rest for a minute or two, or to prepare for the next scene, they're usually unable, they are emotionally drowned. The actors now, and for me also, it was a time to reflect. It made us value life in a different way. And I mean, that's the power of music. That's the power of movement. That's the power of arts generally. We would look at, I wish some of the videos we have here would actually play. We also try to look at the people who treat us, the psychologist, the therapist, who treats the doctor, who helps the doctor. And there's the big issue in Nigeria where one of them told us that they are never allowed to go on leave. Not because you don't have your official leave, you should go on official leave, but because there's so much to do. Most of our theatre works entertaining, hilarious. It's always about something. Either it's about cancer, it's about trafficking, it's about women and girls, it's about rape, it's always about something important. Those things that we don't want to talk, we don't want to discuss. And because research is our bedrock. Research is where we bring everything from before we even attempt creativity. Or even if it's about social justice, maybe some of the plays we do during election. I was in Crown Troop, trained by Sheban Ifila, sent for Shewan Obadrim, sent for the other people from all the other companies. But interestingly, we've been able to spread our tentacles, we've been able to say what part of this country or what part of this society do we want to use art to address. While Sheon, for example, has focused on the children from the slum and their education and how they also must become ambassadors to talk to their other friends within that community. There's also one person, Kofi, who goes around Lagos to work with every school, and that's his focus. John also here was also with us in Crown Troop with Chebanifila. So all of us, for us, and for Killing Soul, we decided to focus on what are those major issues in terms of social justice. So together as a network, how can we even create a more vibrant, a bigger network around Lagos, around Nigeria? I mean around Nigeria now because with the help of institutions and the university and the government in a little way, we've been able to create further teams outside Lagos where, before election, there's something we're planning already for 2023. How can we use theatre how can we use art, how can we use music and dance to penetrate these communities? How can we use it to speak to those mothers who collect 5,000 naira and one bag of rice, and then go out there to vote? So how do we use dance to talk to them? How do we use music to talk to them? Permit me, Dr. Oikelome, before I drop the microphone. In 2019, we had 2018 into 2019, before the election, we had a performance one called Sorry, and then the other called Join Body. And Sorry focused on voting rights, not selling your vote. Of course, one theatre performance wouldn't cut across all the 180 million people in Nigeria. And Join Body afterwards focused on why do we in Nigeria, why is there always violence during election or after election? And we went into communities we made those shows for public consumption. So we performed at Obalinde bus stop, Okota bus stop, Yanoba market. We kept going, and that's how we go with our theatre shows. But what's the impact, and how has this music? What we do is we take music that is popular, that we all know, all the market women, maybe a church song, and that we get during our research. We twist the lyrics, change the lyrics of these songs into something to address our message. Into, for example, there's one about we too look, we too talk, we sit down, they look like Domino. You don't tire you before they won't born my papa, they say Nigeria go better, or my papa na 90, Nigeria still for reverse again. A song that one taught us at the market there, like, this is her favorite song that she sings in church. And then we used that song, changed it, went back to that community, put up our performance, and many of them were really excited to hear their own story, to hear their own songs being used back to them to tell them stories of how they can transform their communities and the lives of their children. I think this is one of many symposiums that we should have as a community generally. Thank you, Dr. Abert.
Thank you. Now, back to the question, and I want to throw that question to the audience. Maybe I'll start first of all with our speakers. Dr. Murwa, you heard what it said about the aspect of trafficking. How can we use dance to tackle this aspect of trafficking, especially to those that have been emotionally traumatized as a result of it? How do, and we get into now, use the word of Dr. Luatadi, appropriation. How do we appropriate the politics of the arts in taking these people out of depression and giving them a new lease of life?
To me, that is a little difficult to do. I say a little difficult because it requires some amount of policies. Identifying these people is one. Thank God for agencies like this. Now, identifying also a place where they can gather. Where dance is involved, that means it must be a physical thing. Now, where it must be a physical thing means that a place is already designated for it or something. Now, that is where the problem is. The kind of thing that we have in Nigeria, where we tend to derogatively look at people as, okay, I want to spare back it. And so when we have that kind of place, most people that are even identified, if you put them there, it's like saying that this person is an identified AIDS patient. Go there and receive treatment. You know, we know what it means. In places of work, people will want to shame them, tell them, we don't want to. So that's on one hand. But I think only we can go past that level. There are places and there are people who can what we do with that, somehow knowledgeable groups, troops, is first and foremost, let me use my own. I have pitch productions. Now, if whoever comes into my own dance sessions, it's a simple thing. I want to look at what propels you, who are you, what are you, what have you ever dreamt of yourself, seen yourself somewhere? Same approach I use for whoever be my students I'm supposed to supervise. I don't just want to approve any topic for you. I want to talk to you, first and foremost. I want to look at what is it that is the biggest problem, your biggest fear, because you must be able to contribute to scholarship. Now, going back to this other one, if you are able to understand why they were into what they are into, and the level of repairs that must be done, it will be easy. Because some is not just to do the exercises. No. Some a little digression here. I think the people that are in 400 level presently, while they were in 100 level, a course was introduced. I think that was theater therapy. And because it was introduced that same year, I was given that course. Now, I was given a course to handle. And so what I did at 100 level, and what I did was simple. I had to break it down into three: music, dance, music therapy, dance therapy, and music, music, dance, and the visual arts therapy. Now, having been able to break them into three parts, now this is the most interesting part of it. The three groups are supposed to look at, they explore the arts in their given areas, and then see the kinds of traumas among themselves. Tell your story to yourselves. It started with me identifying two people. Let this person be your shadow. Tell this person your problem. Learn to trust. All of those ones. So before it became a larger thing. And they each devised a story, bringing their stories together. They devised stories, three stories. But you are supposed to interpret your own story based on your different areas of the art. Now, it happened that, I don't want to call names here. One of the students that we always see in class, very wonderful student, they were very withdrawn, very withdrawn. And then appeared to have double left legs. When I said, when in dance, when we say double left leg, that means those people, when you say that you might, you do this. So, I knew that this person is brilliant because when you talk to this person, she will respond and it will be, she knows what she's saying. And when it comes to reacting, jump. Every other person would have jumped for her, then if you push her too far, she will cry. So I didn't give up. And then I went on and on and on and on. Of course, the others, if they jump that high, maybe I give them 8/10. But the moment she's able to take a little, I'll give her 10 to encourage her. That went on. And I realized that when they were to do their presentation, she took the main character. I was crying. I still have the video. They recorded it and I still have it on my computer. I was crying because it was actually her own story that she gave me. You know? And then she played it. She played the major character in this same story. Of course, I didn't have to tell her that I understood the fact that she was telling her story. Now, I didn't understand what I had done. Now, fast forward to when they were in 300 level. There was this little thing that's happening around now. And that is to say that most of our students, they are saying that now whose school helped, so they are dropping out. One of our classmates just called to say, Doc, your daughter, she has not been coming to class for the past so and so weeks. So, in fact, first exam, she did not write it to. So, do you know her number? He gave me the number. I called her. Hey, where are you? I'm somewhere around Bariga. What are you doing there? So when I realized that it was going to be something that I cannot discuss in front of her, I said, you can go, I'll see her later. Can you give me your mom's number? I'll tell her. I called the mom. I told her, Your doctor, I don't know what's happening, but there's a problem. Apparently, she had met with me a week before to say, sir, do you have a listening ear? I just need one of your time. And it happened to be a time that I was going through my moments, promotions or whatever. So out of the blue, this is not a good time, but just 2 minutes. I want to talk to you about something that is bothering me. It's a matter of life and death. Okay. Good Lord. And she said that people don't understand me. And even my mother did not understand me. She felt that I'm going crazy. And I know I'm not crazy. She has been arranging for pastors to come and continue to pray for me. I know that that is not my problem. All I just want her to understand is that I don't want to continue with school. School is not giving me the thing.
That's true.
So what exactly is giving you the thing? She said that, you see, the problem is that I normally take that university, the front of the water, whatever. That most times when they are supposed to have lessons, she would prefer to go there and just stay at that site there. Why? And you have lectures. Yes, sir. Because even if I'm in the class, I get disturbed. Not really, sir. But when they finish with the lecture, how come you don't miss my lecture? So that's the problem. I don't miss your lecture because, one, you, apart from the fact that you look out for, hey, you have not been saying anything since morning until you say something I'm not even in the class. That's one of the reasons why she came. Then the other one is that I have a way of addressing her peculiar problem. I don't want to repeat to that. How do we solve a problem now? Thankfully, you can tell my mom that she should understand me more than she's trying to understand me. How do you say that? So I try to preach here and there, give her reasons why. You see, your mom is only looking after you, whatever. So apparently, when they told me that she has digressed, eventually she would join a particular troupe, theater troupe, because she wanted to just practice. She doesn't want to come to school. So I called the mom. Actually, she has missed one exam. Mama, I want to tell you something here, but that thing which I want to tell you, you are either going to push your daughter away from you today, or you are going to reclaim your daughter today. I'm going to take you somewhere. And whatever it is that you see there, go and love your daughter. If you shout, you will lose your daughter at this very moment. If you want to cry and whatever, so we got there. They called this girl out. She saw us. She came willingly to come and greet. And then I said, Madam, if I ask you to just take your daughter, the slightest chance that she has to get out of your sight, she'll still come back. Let us talk. So myself and the person that she went to meet, we started counseling. This lady is looking for something. You are looking for education for her. She doesn't know what she wants. And until you learn to know her, to trust her, things will always. She's very quiet at home. She never told me she had any problems. So eventually the lady now, when they said to everything, she told her mother that she had to come to me because the thing that I made her pass through in 100 level kept haunting her. And that was the only time she got her voice. That was the only time she actually lived. Because she told her own story. She expressed herself in her own story. And then she got healed in her own way. But it was not a continuous thing. So she drifted. I can't go further beyond that level concerning the fact that I'm not the one that, we're following what they call a curriculum. But again, she discovered herself because she had that moment. And I thank God that the mom was able to follow through. And then they went to the normal consulting doctors or whatever. All I wanted to say is simple. She used dance, she used music, performance, to tell a story to herself when she had the chance about what she's going through, what she's living, different from what the perspective that people around her have. So I'm sure that when people like that were brought in, when they are together, they'll be frank with themselves, tell their own stories, and then not that the reporters are the ones saying that this is what they went through. They will be able to tell their own story, tell their own story, until they are able to voice it out. Even Christ said, until you want to confess with your mouth. That's when you can now have a good repentance, Abi. So let these people, the real healing they need is for them to face their own fears, tell it out, tell them, I'm not sick, I'm not my church. Then when they are able to do that, shout out, and then they can dance into the normal life. That is what I was saying.
As a therapist, have you experienced such?
Okay, thank you very much. During my youth service, that was 2005, 2006 in Maiduguri, I was the president of my CDA, that was Women Trafficking and Child Labor Eradication Foundation. During that period, though just coming out from the university, I still, we had the opportunity of, at one point, we went to Abuja, we met Titi Abubakar, that's the wife of the former vice president. So during that period, we had the opportunity of going to schools. We go to schools, educate those people. Sensitization was our tool then. I, myself, and the vice president then, she studied drama. So that was what we were doing. We go there, tell them stories, sensitize them, telling them they should not allow people to lure them into trafficking, into child labor. But you can't really stop that in that kind of community. But as time goes on, right now, through experiences, through engagements with so many things, I had the opportunity of being in a group that my head of department is trying to initiate violence against women and all of those things. We are looking at drama therapy, the role of drama, the dramatic arts, in ensuring that these people, women that are dying in silence in their homes, going through domestic violence, and they can't really voice out to anyone. But we are looking at a way of bringing them together to let them tell their stories. Like he said, they will act it out. We can give them fictitious names to perform those roles, but they are acting out. They are acting out what they are going through. They are acting out those things. We use music to lace it, to ensure that there is a kind of vibe, so to speak. There is a kind of flow in whatever they need to do. With this, we can also use that to dissuade young ladies who their passion is to go out to get rich quick. We can use music as a tool to dissuade them, sensitize them. Maybe sometimes in their silent moments, they may think through to say, I think I need to put a stop to this. But we should also learn to develop a sense of trust. Let them trust you. Let them have ability to come to you, to confide in you. Like I used to tell my music therapy students that apart from you knowing what you have as your tool, which is your music, you have acquired all the training, you should also have a sense of compassion. People should be able to come to you, you sympathize with them, you see yourselves in their shoes, or yourself in their shoes rather, and you let them know that you feel what they feel. And then not that when they come, you condemn them outrightly and then they feel bad. They even go worse than they first came to you. So we have this opportunity to use the tools that we have. And hopefully we believe we'll have a transformed nation one day. Thank you.
The way they are talking now is like a problem half rehearsed, half sung, half played out, is half shared. Do you share with that sentiment?
Okay, I have the microphone. Sorry about it. Good afternoon once again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's always a pleasure. Just tell me there's a conference, symposium, workshop happening anywhere. Even if I get the notice in a few seconds, I'm going to have to be there. And that's what I always encourage students to
to participate because this is the kind of attitude that, we grew up with. And learning is not limited or confined only to the four walls of classroom. So I cherish this moment. I'd like to appreciate Professor Oikelome for putting this together. Thank you so much. Thank you. And yes, I missed Dr. Oikelome's presentation, but of course, in his last submission, I got a handle of what he must have highlighted in his presentation. But reacting to the question that you raised about how we can use dance music as tool to sort of mold minds out there, young, whatever minds. Particularly, you were specific about the one that Mommy talked about, the category of people that Mommy talked about. Yes, human trafficking. There are things you can't explain. You just find yourself, doing it, getting absorbed into it. Now let's break it down this way. There have been situations where even participants, as actors, as dancers, as music makers, as musicians, as singers, using the voice as the vocal instrument, the art of dance. Because of we have to look at the subject matter. So if gospel music, Tokwe Alabi and the rest of them could target some very critical subject matters that affect people. I mean, I've seen rich people falling down and giving God Almighty, reference because of the lyrical content of songs. They crumble before God. Yeah, people who have either thought that I'm big and mighty. So in the same manner, if composers of songs, composers of dance, choreographies and all of that could just look at how, because when you see these people who are involved in human trafficking and all that, but compose the songs, the content of our work. You don't need too much talk. You do it, bearing in mind that people are going to things, and there are times when you don't want to do regular things to achieve your objective. So get out of the box. Do some things that are irregular, not conventional, and I can guarantee you that you will be affecting a lot of people positively. Thank you.
Now, the bottom line now is the need for agencies to let's say, liaise with the musicians, dancers, collaborate, that's the word. Let's see how we who are instructors, scholars, just like Dr. Oikelome moved from his comfort zone to Bariga, to mingle with these people, to help them out. Is there no way we can also move away from our comfort zone, who are musicians, who are theater practitioners, who are dance experts, and then meet with these agencies and then create the content, like Otuba said? Because they understand the problem from their own point of view. We should now check at their point of view and see how we can now create content to, sensitizing not just the society now, the people that are involved. I want us to watch that thing again, that Joshua, I think it will give us a clear view as to the scholarly and artistic input that we can also do. If they who are in theater can do this, the question we'll be asking ourselves, who are in music, what can we do in music?
Not so many, from experience, not so many agencies are open to understanding the viability of the arts of dance, of music, of drama, of poetry, and so on, and in impacting so much, in doing more than half of what they set out to do as an organization. And I'll give you a very quick example. For about 5 years before 2017, the UKA's Department for International Development, they were in Nigeria, so they wanted to do a program on called the Nigeria Stability and Reconciliation Program. And what they had done years before then was to look at pastoral farming, land conflict in some northern parts of Nigeria, and women and girls, and some of these issues. So what they did was, or what they did then was to go there, hold seminars, talk to them, and so on. But after a few years, they realized that it wasn't working. It took a lot of pushing from people who understood the arts to reach them, to ask them, would you be willing to use the arts to achieve this goal? And the goal was basically bring the farmers that are always fighting and killing themselves over land issues, bring them together. So, as Otumba said, talk will not do it. But what's the willingness of some agencies? While a lot of international agencies in Nigeria are really passionate about that, they understand how much the arts can do, can ease their own work, because the art happens, the audience, the target audience, they know you already. You come in, say one or two things, and it's over. How do we begin to create that collaboration? How do we begin to involve them from a set of people who are probably not yet interested, or who are yet to understand what can music do to someone who has been raped? How can music help someone who is going through depression? How can dance help someone who? So I think it's still a lot that needs to be done, and maybe from this room we have people within the trafficking agency. Maybe it could start from there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to have this kind of gathering. It was also very exciting to listen to a lot of people. I'll give you a backstory to why I joined the Kings and Queens. I'm not the founder, but I have joined them because the founder is also a very good friend of mine. Before then, I had been in the North. I've been in the Northeast. I had worked as the head of media for an NGO that was based in Maiduguri. And it gave me first-hand insights into what really was going on and is still going in the Northeast. And then that's when I realized that whatever I had learned, I had to bring back to Lagos. I had met a lot of young people who did not have purpose, who didn't have a focus. And because of that, anything that happened or came their way, they went with it. It was at the same time I met the Chibok girls. I met some of the Chibok girls because my NGO had to work with them. And I remember vividly, I'm sorry, I'm going to probably say some silly things that I hope we're all emotionally imbalanced to listen to these things. I met some of them, and one of them actually looked up at me and said, in short, she would sleep with 3 of my size and not blink. And I wondered what he meant. So I asked the doctor who was in charge of the case. And then that's when I realized that those girls had been given tramadol, and were raped constantly, and it became sex for food and all that. And now, even when at the point when government said they were doing rehabilitation and all, the truth was there was no listening ear for the girls. And like we all decided, you need to listen to them. They have stories they want to tell. And until you get into the space of that listening, of being that listening person, you cannot get anything from them. I mean, I traveled the length and breadth of the whole of Borno State. And I saw stories that broke me. In fact, after the first week, I was involved in psychosocial support. After the first week, I had to ask a colleague to actually perform therapy on me. Yes, because I was head of media and I was recording. I went to Monguno and met a girl who was 12 who could dismantle an AK-47. I mean, I went to Dikwa and I met a boy whose father and grandfather had been killed in front of him. And you see, I'm sorry to say the government plays a passive role. We do not listen to these people. They are first-hand informants. They see these things and their emotions and their pictures that will remain with them for years. So what do we do? So when I completed my project and everything, although I still go to the north, but when I had to come back to Lagos, I had to speak to the founder of the Kings and Queens, who was a very good friend. I said, you have a troupe which is involved with young people. I want to be part of it. I'm not a dancer, I'm sorry, right? But I like to tell stories, and in telling stories, I want to be particular about how the stories are created and passed. And one of the first projects we did was True Talk. That's one of the guys in the troupe behind me. It was a project that even speaking with they told their stories, and we went around the mainland from Yaba to Joelegba to Barracks. We were walking for close to 3 hours. These kids never complained. In fact, it was fun for them because 1, they were telling their stories. 2, they felt they were part of social change, and that for me was joy. And that's one thing I think we should look. It goes beyond money and appropriation of funds and whatever. No one is listening to these kids. If you take time to listen to these kids, I'm sure your mindset to even the change will change. Right? It will change. Yes. And then in terms of collaboration, a lot of people, like Joshua said, a lot of agencies are not willing to collaborate because we still do not understand the power of dance and music. An average IDP camp in the north takes about 10,000 persons. Right? That's an average. Now, the World Food Program monthly brings food to these camps. On the average, we have about 300 trucks bringing food to the camps. In that same camp, there are people who have been there since the beginning of the insurgency, who have refused to go. In that same camp, you have young people who grew up, who were born into the camp, grew up in the camp, married in the camp. Some of them have just started giving birth. Yes. That's the life they know. They don't know the life before pre-resurgence. Now, how do you help such a person to reintegrate? How do you help a child whose whole entire family has been wiped out? How do you tell these stories? I met a girl who told me if she wanted to eat, she have to sleep with camp officials. Because the food finishes in less than 2 weeks. They are giving you a small bag. So if you have 10 persons in one family and you decide to do, perhaps say big boy, and you eat your food to satisfy yourself, in less than 2 weeks, your food is finished. So what happens to the rest of the 2 weeks? The remaining 2 weeks before the next supply comes. But because we do not have people who are listening, that's why we have this problem. So coming back to Lagos, I had to sort that. I had to become the listening person. And trust me, I have worked with these kids. Many times I hear what they say, they can't even tell their parents. And like we all say, Bariga is one place a lot of people don't want to associate with.
You have a counseling unit in your.
So what we do is what we call psychosocial support. We get these kids to talk to themselves. It makes them open to each other. Vulnerability is one thing a lot of us do not want to become. But you see, the truth is, it helps in healing. When you are accountable to someone, and when that person happens to be in the, that's what the, if you know this guy, they call the AA. You know, the alcoholics, the drug addicts. They create a team where everyone is vulnerable to everyone within that circle. It helps you grow and heal faster. And I think that's one thing we should do even with music and arts. Like Otuba said, the content is key. It's not just about doing performance or creating songs. It's what content, what is the creative content of these things that we are putting in place. Thank you.
Once again, it's been a very robust discussion. I want to hand over to
Yeah, our ears are full, and I'm sure it's been a very insightful session. And everyone here has got an assignment, including me. So compassion, empathy, going out there, making the world a bright place, and sharing your light. Shine your light to the world. For me, I think research is more than writing. These conversations are very important, and the more we grow, and also the more the society is impacted. Really, my ears are full, my notes is full, my head is full. Thank you very much on behalf of the convener, I want to thank all the speakers, the contributors. I want to extend a very active vote of thanks at this time to all the speakers for sharing, their important work, for gracing this, gathering with their important works, sharing their opinions, telling us about their experience. Is it from Dr. Emorua, who started and he told us about, using dance, and he made a very important point as far dance being a tool for, as a space of refuge, and it will continue to be a way we can be relevant to the society. And I think that music and dance, in fact for us in Africa, is inseparable. Whether you mention dance, performativity like the HOD, mentioned at the beginning, it's just the way. And your art, beyond impacting lives, can take you to the world and, of course, make the world a better place. And Dr. Nweke also has mentioned about music therapy as a tool. And even coming back, she came to tell us about how we need to, educate the people in our community. Of course, we're also, in a way, realizing the SDG goals. And you all have a role to play in this. And she mentioned something which I think is very important. It is that aside us going to the community to, try to make this communal practice through our art, we are also healing. I was speaking to Fumi Sachs, that everyone has a problem. When I say problem, we have our own challenge. We have where the shoe, bites, right? And sometimes you just need to express. And I call him John. I just realized it's Charles. Oh, okay, sorry, I saw Charles on you. Okay, so, saying that, it's important you have somebody you're reportable to, somebody you can share your mind to. And it may not just be someone, also a space where you can, especially for those in the academia, I don't know, even students, you just need to get out there. And Mrs. Morenike, my Bridget, has also, they are there. And Joshua also talked about, the agencies being open. And Dr. Albert also mentioned that there is need for that collaboration and we need to work hand in hand. At least we have one NGO here that is ready to accept, they need you to, create this awareness. You have the knowledge, you're also learning in the process. So, really, I've learned a lot from all of these sessions, and I really want to thank everyone. I thank the Department of Creative Arts. I want to thank the convener who even thought of this as, besides his research, as an avenue to bring students, masters, and graduates. And we've all been glued to our seats so far. I've not been seeing movement here and there. And that's because there's so much to get from this session. And I really do hope we can have these conversations from time to time. Thank you very much. And to this end, I want to call Fumi Sachs to give us a closing prayer.
Can we all rise up? We are grateful, oh Lord. We are grateful, Lord. We are grateful, oh Lord. Hallelujah. Oh, you have done for us. Oh, hallelujah. We are grateful, oh Lord. Our righteous Father, we want to say thank you to you. Thank you for a day like this. Thank you because it has been written that something like this is going to happen. And oh Lord, we thank you for the convener. We thank you for the inspiration behind this. We thank you for all the people that spoke. We thank you for all the people that are here. We thank you because we are gathered at this time. We thank you because you allowed everyone here to come here safely. You allowed our calendar to be open just because you know that there is a new innovative that is about to come. And there's a change that is about to come through us. Father, Lord, we say thank you to you in Jesus' name. Father, we pray, oh Lord God, that you will give us the grace and the spirit to not just listen, but to be a doer of everything that we have learned here today in the name of Jesus. And oh Lord God, we pray that we cannot do anything on our own. That oh Lord God, you will raise helpers of destiny in line with the same vision that we just shared here this afternoon. And oh Lord God, we pray that by this time we're going to gather again. This vision will have come to manifestation in the name of Jesus. Our life will be touched in the name of Jesus. Thank you, Father, because it is done. Thank you for our sponsors. Thank you for everything they have done. Thank you for where they have dipped their hands in their pocket to bring out one or two things. We pray, oh Lord God, that you will replenish them in 100-fold in the name of Jesus. Thank you, Father, because you have answered us, Lord. In Jesus' mighty name we pray.
Amen. Thank you once again. We want to have a group of